This is The Red Lens.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Cris von Erik, and this is The Red Lens. We get to meet a god, but tonight we do have a god as a guest, a god amongst men, Corey Capella. How are you this evening?
What is happening? That title, man. Well deserved, I believe.
Yes.
There he is.
Now, actually, you are an author three times over with your new book, Purging Feminism. You have your own website.
Yeah.
So you are a man of many areas.
For sure, yeah. I believe I'm only a 2-time published author at this point in time, but so I have my first book, Live Your Best Life in 30 Days, and then A Patriarch's Vision, Purging Feminism. So the actual series of what the book is going to be called is A Patriarch's Vision, but this is part 1 called Purging Feminism. It's the first part of the series. So that's kind of what we're rocking and rolling. Yeah, my website is freshly started in order to kind of consolidate, and obviously that's going to help me out with being able to go and do some speaking engagements, because I'm sure this book's going to light some fires under people's arses, as well as a whole other bunch of stuff. As the next thing is also, for those of you guys out there that don't know, it's not just a name or a moniker. That's actually the name of my YouTube channel, God Amongst Men, where I go live every day at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then the next thing I do too is I also have a men's community, as I believe that initiation into manhood and bonding together as a tribe are two things that are completely missing from our society and civilization today. And thewartribe.com is a means by which men can come together in a amazing men's community, where I do webinars with them every Sunday, and then we just talk throughout the week in order to hold each other accountable and see where people can grow. And so teach, mentor, and coach men into becoming better versions of themselves. But I do believe I'm going to be making a bit of a transition as well here, and just start focusing more on masculine lifestyle stuff as well. So that's kind of who I am. That's where I'm at. And I have obviously a very interesting upbringing. I've experienced very, very crazy things in my life to lead me to this point. And believe it or not, I love my story. I believe it's a great badge of honor.
Wow.
Well, speaking of honors, the first thing I want to actually get out of the way, and this is what we do with all current and past service people, and that is to give you a tremendous heartfelt thank you for your service.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
bet.
Very much so.
And I'm sure, Franklin, you echo that?
Most definitely. And I always say that it's something that not a day goes by that I wish that I didn't perform some sort of service coming up before starting work and all like that, because I believe that's something that everybody should do.
You know, Franklin, I think that's really the majority of most men. Honestly, I think
the way I think, and it bothers me actually.
Yeah, most men want to be the warrior. So there's specific archetypes that are deeply entrenched and ensconced into our upbringing. And, you know, in most tribes back in the day, they would go through a rites of passage, and that was actually their test for them to get ready for warriorhood, to become a part of the hunting tribe or the warring tribe of that tribe. So it's something that's deeply ingrained, not just into our DNA, but it's also deep into our collective subconscious as a species. So there's a lot of men out there that weren't given the opportunity. And I mean, not just given the opportunity, but also chose not to as well in certain aspects. But then as time goes on, they look back at their life. And during that time frame of my life, I really wish that I did something along those lines. And I don't think that's your fault either. I think that it's just the way that our civilization has raised people to believe. It's like, you might be better off just going and getting a job and having financial security. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those things. And I think it's something I discuss in the book. I think that military service is something that is completely imperative for men in our culture.
I think everybody should at least do, I'm not sure, is it a basic 2 years or 4? I think everybody should.
I would vote for 4 years, but I actually go to a far greater length than recommending. I'll leave it for you guys to read the book to see where I go. But
very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Being in the military, I realized that my first 4 years was just me kind of dabbling in the military. And it wasn't until I did another 5 years that I was able to really start to find my groove, get into the directions I needed to go, and direct my life the direction I needed to go as well. So yeah, I did 9 years total in the United States Marine Corps from 2004 to 2013.
Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. And obviously I chose to get out of the military.
Now, and where were you stationed?
In general, or do you mean as far as deployments?
Deployments.
So I did deploy to Iraq and Afghanistan during that
You did,
time.
okay.
Yes, I did. I
That's
was on the front lines of battle in Afghanistan in 2010. Saw a lot of crazy combat. Got blown up myself. Watched a good friend of mine get blown up by a dismounted IED,
Oh my God.
ouch.
and had some pretty wild situations occur from that. And I ended up doing something that, believe it or not, which I thought was kind of your initiation into manhood, but I didn't know that it was going to be at that point in time. But, I think deep down inside of me, because I joined the Marine Corps in 2003. I joined in 2003. And this is right as we're invading Iraq. This is literally as we're getting into a no kidding mechanized movement.
Boots on the ground.
So it was scary. You're going to war, buddy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're joining during a wartime situation where we're sending a lot of troops to battle. And it's like, okay, well, I've taken into consideration how my life is now and how it could be if I join. And I'd much rather choose getting shot at or blowing up in war than staying where I'm at right now, because my upbringing was a crazy war zone in of itself. So,
Oh boy.
yeah. I mean, lots of trauma. I mean, well, the thing is, and I'm not going to shy away from any of these things. The beauty of everything that I've gone through up to this point is this, though. I found out ways to heal from it.
Mhm.
Most people don't. Most people use that trauma that's happened in their life as their identity, and they want to stay stuck in it. It's what I call the victimhood identity. We're seeing this a lot with these SJWs. Being a victim in today's society is rewarded. And it's like, no. Like, the true people that should be rewarded are the people that can rise above, see why those things happened in their life from a different, fresher perspective, realize it was a tool. It was a tool needed in order to strengthen you up. And those are the people, those are the people that really do the damage in society. By what I mean is not necessarily damage, but help people grow. But because we live in the opposite kind of, we live in a blue pill world, right? The opposite is true, right? Being a victim is more touted. Like, it's easier, it's better. You're better off being a victim and claiming victimhood status and getting things from people rather than putting yourself and being forged in the fire and having to go through discomfort and growth and pain and suffering and struggle and uncertainty, and possibly coming out a better version of you and learning those base truths in order by which you're able to operate, and essentially turning yourself into a self-sufficient, self-reliable, self-loving individual who can endure it all. One of the big things was, I came back and I was diagnosed with PTSD a few months later, mainly because I was having my central nervous system was so beat up from the amount of war that I saw. Your adrenal glands, everything's all screwed up. I came back, and for some time I actually couldn't get out of bed, because it's like your body kind of goes through these withdrawals. It was weird. It was crazy. So then because of that, you go through the manic depressive kind of stuff. More so, actually, I didn't really have much anxiety. It was more so that I had the depression. And then they threw me on SSRIs. I ended up getting out of the military about 6 months after that, after being diagnosed with PTSD. Was told I only needed to be on those medications for about 6 to 9 months, and then we'd wean off, right, using therapy and all this other stuff. But the VA didn't want to do that. The VA wanted me to stay on it for the rest of my life.
Oh boy.
And then started recommending more medication for me to be on. It's like, dude, this is fucked.
Jacob's Ladder type stuff.
Oh, dude, it's a business. It's a fucking business. They don't really care about healing you or fixing you. Instead, they care about pumping you through full of medications and getting paid for these scripts. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of the system we have. People started taking advantage of me. I was wet behind the ears, didn't really know human nature necessarily. I had an idealistic version of life. I'm working 90 hours a week, working myself into the ground, not happy because I'm on all these medications and all this other stuff. Have this ideal as the type of women that I want to get with and have relationships with, but then those never work out, because every time I meet that girl, I change my persona, right? It's like you're alpha to get them, but then when you get in a relationship with them, you automatically turn into the acquiescent, believes, oh, I need to have her on a pedestal and I need to make her feel safe and comfortable. And then she loses interest, or you lose interest as well, because it's just not a dynamic relationship. So Got into a relationship with this one girl. We looked good on paper. And I remember I was a couple weeks out from turning 30 and I was like, man, it's time to get married. So I sell my Harley. I put money down on a ring. And I just remember, I remember looking at this girl. I woke up one morning at like 3 a.m. and I was just like, I remember looking at her. I was like, no, like, don't do this.
I want my Harley back.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
I want my Harley back.
I wasn't riding the Harley because I own this business and I was scared about falling and, hurting myself and the business failing. So I sold the Harley for that reason, honestly, because I wasn't riding it. But I was like, oh, I got this extra money. I'm about to turn 30. My parents, would probably be proud of me if I end up settling down and getting married and giving them grandchildren and all this other shit. And you know how that is, like that whole fucking pressure for all this other stuff. It's all a fucking contrivance, right? It's that blue pill dream of like, own your own business and get all this money and get married and have kids and buy the house. Stupid, right? So anyway, long story short, as I realized that I couldn't fucking stand the girl, I end up breaking up with her. I end up fucking getting the money back for the ring and all this other stuff, luckily, because I didn't actually get the ring. And after that, I like start to reflect on life and I'm like, man, I'm fucking unhappy. I'm unhappy with this business. I'm unhappy with all this stuff. And wouldn't you know, like a week later, my alarm clock goes off at 5:30 in order for me to get ready for my 6 o'clock class. And I just can't get out of bed.
Wow.
I'm just like, fuck, what the fuck is going on here? I'm trying to move my feet to get on the floor. And it's just like, my body's so exhausted. Everything's so tired. I'm just so fucking lost at this moment. And I end up end up having like kind of a mental breakdown, so to speak, because it's like, fuck, what am I supposed to do? I've lost my identity. I'm dealing with this PTSD and there's no fucking way out other than these medications, which I took myself off of actually. Which is a whole nother thing. Like withdrawing from these fucking SSRIs is insane. I highly recommend people don't fucking use these things. It's what led me into, believe it or not, getting into plant medicine. So this is essentially what happens, right? I have a mental breakdown. I go into the VA hospital. I put myself in the hospital for 4 days. They're like, oh, well, this is what happens when you take yourself off of SSRIs. We need to put you back on full dose and more. It's like, fuck. They're like, you're going to be here for the next 4 days or more because you need to rest and we need to get your medications back up. And it's like, well, when am I going to come off these medications? And they're like, well, you're broken. You're never going to be fixed. You got to stay on these things for the rest of your life. And I was just like, fuck, get me the fuck out of here kind of deal. Get out of there. I'm talking to my friend. I'm like looking at cannabis and using cannabis right now in order to like help heal and get me and wean me off of that stuff. A friend of mine comes to me. He's like, well, if you're interested in plant medicine, why don't you look into ayahuasca? I just heard this Joe Rogan, Aubrey Marcus podcast on ayahuasca to heal PTSD. So I listened to it and I'm just like, fuck, that's what I need to do. And I was like, but I don't have any fucking money right now, right? Because like business is struggling. During that time frame that I was healing, I had to hire a coach to take over. So he's taking my income pretty much and I'm barely making it. I'm just like, fuck, like I got to do it. So like shot in the dark, I buy like with the last $800 I have in my bank account, a ticket down to Iquitos, Peru. I fly down there, hear of a Marine. Well, before that, I heard of a Marine that owns his own clinic, right? I think there's a documentary on it. It's like Into the Fire or something like that on ayahuasca. It's this retreat center in Iquitos, Peru that was owned by this Marine who was set out to like help heal people's PTSD and stuff. And I was like, this is what I got to do. I got to go to him and I got to just plead my case and let him know what I'm going through and beg that he takes me in, allows me to heal, use the medicine to help me heal and all this other stuff. And I'm like, that's what I'm going to do. So I fly down to Iquitos, Peru. I get in the cab and I'm like, take me to this retreat center, like about to throw my Hail Mary, right? And the cab driver, obviously in Spanish, turns around and says, that place doesn't exist anymore. It closed down 3 months ago. So here I am in the middle of fucking Iquitos, Peru, practically a third world fucking country. My return flight isn't for another 10 days or so. And I have no place to stay and I have no goddamn money. So it's like, fuck. And then wouldn't you know, I end up fucking meeting somebody who leads me to his retreat center because he felt bad for me. American kid, super good, super good kid. I got fucking lucky. He leads me to his retreat center. He's like, maybe my shaman can recommend a shaman close by. You're probably not going to be able to hook up with my shaman because I had to go through like 6 months of fucking like processing and all this other stuff. And like,
really?
To make sure it was like, they did like a process with him to make sure he was like there for the right reasons, right intentions. He was all healthy and all this other stuff. Like it was a legit shamanic fucking experience. Right. So I show up. And the shaman looks at me and she goes, why are you here? And I pull out my my medication, right, that I stopped taking. And I was like, I never want to be on these again. And I want to help heal my PTSD so I could help other people heal their PTSD. She like snatches the bottle out of my hands, and her and the other shaman, the male shaman, run into like their room, shut the door, and all of a sudden I hear like rattles shaking, and I see smoke pouring out from underneath the like crack of the door. And they come out like an hour later, and they're like, the spirits have spoken to us, and you're here for a reason. You're here to go deep into the Peruvian Amazon with us and do a series of cleanses, but you're not going to drink ayahuasca. And I was like, fuck, I'm like here to drink ayahuasca, but like maybe those cleanses will help. And this sounds like a fucking badass adventure. There's nothing else I'm going to do. Right. So I was like, fuck yeah, let's do it. So they're like, awesome, cool. We leave tomorrow at 7:30 in the morning. So we hop on this fucking rickety boat with like all of our supplies to live out there for like 2 weeks. I got to come back a couple days earlier, obviously, because of my flight. And we go 2.5 hours down the Amazon River, deep into the Amazon jungle where there's like no civilization. Right. And I spend more than a week there helping them brew the ayahuasca. And then the morning of that, we're about to do the first ceremony, Bernardino, the male shaman, says, I had a dream and the spirits came to me last night and they said, you're to drink ayahuasca in ceremony. So I ended up drinking ayahuasca with them before I had to head back to the United States. And it was fucking just insane. It was insane. Like I got to meet my soul. I got to like see different things and feel different things and experience different things.
I'll bet.
And then I came back to the United States and I lost my business. I lost my cars. I lost my home. I became homeless. I lost all my friends. And I was just like, fuck, the fuck happened to my life kind of deal.
Not supposed to lose your friends. You're supposed to be there for you.
You're not supposed to. But the thing is, when you have friends that were there for the wrong reasons, because you were successful and because you held on to this image and you thought that, because before my image was based on all the things that I had external to myself. And that's essentially what ayahuasca did, was it cleansed me and rid me of all the things that I thought were good for me based off of having that poor belief system. And it got rid of all of it. And it's like, sure. I mean, now I'm at root. Now I'm at base level. I'm at the bottom. I'm at the fucking bottom. My depression is still kicking. My anxiety is still kicking. And I have to sit there in that moment and I'm contemplating suicide, honestly. Right. So I'm homeless. I'm living in this fucking like rundown bus in the middle of the fucking woods. And I'm like, fuck it, let's go. Like, we're done kind of deal. Like, there's no way I can recover from this. I can't overcome this kind of deal. And then I go and I have like a hallucination at that point in time. And I see like my life flash before my eyes. And I see the story of how everybody was telling me what my value was. My mom, my dad, my sister, all the people I grew up with, the people in the military, all this other stuff. And they were telling me what my value was. And of course, my value wasn't high in their eyes, right? They were controlling my perspective of what I thought of myself. And then the question was like, what if you could wake up tomorrow and you could be the hero of your own journey? You could be the hero of your own story. How would that be? And it's like, well, that's a life I'd want to live. That's a life that I live for. So then it says, wake up tomorrow and start doing it. And I chose to live. And from that day forth, slowly but surely, this is 4 years ago, I've been living my life in that direction, cleaning up all my messes, figuring out how I myself can make myself happy and continue to live my life as the center of my own universe, so to speak. And it's been the most life-changing thing possible. Now, the next thing I need to bring up is this. It wasn't just ayahuasca that helped out with this. I went and did another, I've done a bunch of other types of shamanic rituals, but the next best one that helped me heal the most was, because ayahuasca, as far as this is concerned, is a very feminine spirit, and that's why it's destructive. Like, this is what I've got to learn about the universe, is that the feminine represents the dark side. As crazy as that sounds, darkness, it's chaos, it's destruction, it's cold, it's jealous, it's whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of how it is. But we need that energy. We need that energy because it's kind of the void. And then we men, we're the masculine, we're the light, we're the ones by which order comes from, like order from chaos. We direct and channel that chaotic energy into this material world. That's how I was able to come up with the idea for this book, of understanding that men are the ones that create civilizations and societies. We're the ones that have built everything that we see. Why? Because we use that chaotic energy, which is based off of magnetism, right? We're magnetically charged to desire the feminine. And then we're also, as a species, right, as a man, we're charged to try to go out and create the highest value possible in ourselves so that we can have the highest value women and procreate with them, right? So we do things like this. Like every single day we wake up and we say, you know, let's go to the gym and get jacked. Let's go tanning, for instance, and look more viable. Let's go and make more money so I have more resources, which obviously registers more to her hypergamy and all this other stuff, right? So that I could have the highest level of access to the most amount of women. And then women are in the same boat when it comes to their sexual nature as well. They're trying to attract those kinds of guys via different things based off of what we're attracted to. And I was like, this is how the fucking universe works. This is how creation is and all this other stuff. So anyway, long story short is I went and I did another type of plant medicine called iboga, which is the masculine side of those things. It's like, to me, what I can register it as is it's like, because most of us guys that come to the red pill space, we didn't really have very good fathers. We didn't have fathers that taught us about masculinity, which is something that's really deeply missing from our society today. So when I did iboga, it was like having a father that was like the greatest father archetype you could ever imagine. And it's like, it showed me the directions I needed to go and the things I needed to clean up and where I was not really necessarily like where I was messed up, like harsh, like my father was. It's like, you're fucked up, you need to do this. But instead it's like, hey, do you want to do this? Yeah. Well, here's how. It's like, fuck, that's amazing to have. You know what I'm saying? Like, could you imagine having something that's like, that talks to you at that real and like kind of like hits your root stuff and it's like, all right, well, if you want to do this, like, here's how to do it. It's like, fuck, it's not going to be easy, but it's like, here's how to do it. It's like, fuck, all right, cool. Yeah, I'll take that. Mm-hmm. So I came back from that about 2.5 years ago and it healed my anxiety and depression 100%. And from there, I've just been on like a fucking, like a tear. Right? Like came back, wrote my first book, came back, started consulting, came back, started reading more, got into school and got a degree. Well, one degree. I got my associates in philosophy. Started building my finances back up, building my credit score back up, building my life and all this other stuff. Got into game and like, well, a better version of the game this time, right? From a red pill perspective. So essentially that's where I'm at today is like, I got to really take a look and clean up all the shit from my past, all the stuff that I was doing wrong. And essentially, I guess that's how I was red pilled.
And that's amazing. I mean,
what a story.
Literally like that is, I don't think I've ever heard that before. I've never heard somebody basically have this like existential rebuild of themselves. And that is totally amazing.
That's some journey. It is some journey.
Yeah. When I say that I've gone to the depths, man, I've gone to the fucking depths. Like, fuck, man. Like, I could probably tell you guys stories that you'd never believe, like the things that have happened. And it's just like, man, I'm fucking grateful for it, though. Honestly, like, I've always kind of been that guy. It's like, I want to do the stuff that other people can't or are unwilling. So let's try it. Let's do it. And the crazy part is, like, sure, could I have gotten lost completely? Could I have lost my mind? Could I have lost my marbles? Could I have lost my life? Sure, absolutely. But I didn't. Well, I did for a little bit, and then I came back.
well, yeah. First of all, the first step, you could have lost your life in terms of your service. Sure. That's even more of a high percentage. You going and finding your life path the way you did. You sure, yeah, you know, like you said, that could have been crazy, whatever, but you know, you did it, and it showed you a path, and for yourself to do all these great things that you otherwise never would have done.
Correct. It also helped me cut through the bullshit, man. Like, you know, what really drew me to military service? Well, the reason why I wanted to be in the military was I wanted to belong to a tribe. I wanted to be surrounded by other men that were going to help build me up, that I can consider like my brothers, and then also have a group of men that are older than me to be my mentors and guide me. And I found out, believe it or not, 85% of the lessons that I learned in the military were things that I didn't want to do or by people that I didn't want to be like. And it was kind of like the same thing with my father. I learned about 85% of the things from my father of like what I don't want and what I don't want to be like. And maybe 15% I learned from him of like, okay, yeah, that's viable. So I think what it comes down to now and what I'm trying to create is I'm trying to create a society at least where hopefully those numbers are inverse, where we can create, because what I've come to realize is that if men build societies, then the thing that society really needs to focus on as well is building great men. And we're not doing that right now. Instead, we're the opposite. We're the inverse. It's like everything that we hear, everything that we see is this, yes, you go girl kind of thing. Men get out of the way for women kind of deal. Like, oh, women, you could be presidents, you could be astronauts, you can be CEOs, you can be all this other stuff. And then you see the majority of men getting out of school and they're going and getting bullshit fucking liberal arts degrees or they're getting fucking trade school stuff and that's it. And they're just kind of fucking off. It's like, nothing wrong with trade school. I actually truly believe that most men should have trades. I think that they should get into trades as well. But that's not being championed in this society. When the reality, and this should have been one of the greatest awakenings from the Trump election, is that these blue collar workers and these tradespeople and all this other stuff, this Americana blue collar type of person, that's the backbone of America. And it's like, who makes up most of that stuff? Well, it's fucking mostly men. And they're fucking sick and tired of hearing this bullshit of men move out of the way and prop women up and, men get out of the way because you're the patriarchy or men do whatever. It's like, no. Like, we are the ones that fucking have made everything here today that you're seeing and using and living a comfortable life with. And it's like the worst thing in the world. It's like you want to go to a restaurant and have a good meal and you fucking go up to your waiter right when you meet him and you slap him in the face.
Yeah.
You think your meal is going to come out the way you want it? I don't think so. Like, there's going to be some extra stuff in there. You know what I'm saying? So like, you don't fuck with the staff. You just don't fuck with the staff, man. You know what I mean? And I think people today are just like, all right, well, we're tired of it. And then the next thing is kind of like what Franklin was talking about too, is it's like most men, they want to be warriors. So how can we also have a society where we turn men into warriors, and then after that we can give them a trade? And then they can opt out after that to go into the private and public sector and become entrepreneurs, or they can go and just be blue collar workers if they so desire and just do that stuff. And I believe in the last chapter of my book, at least, I believe I answer most of those questions. Yeah. Big thing though is this, and this might not be a popular opinion, but I also talk about not having women in the military or having women in any type of political authority, and even having women in the business sector, because from what we've been able to see, and this is my own experience too as well, whenever you allow women into male spaces, it automatically deteriorates everything. It like starts to do that. And why is that? Well, the thing is, we're all men, right? When we're hanging around our brothers, we're in bro zone.
Right, bro mode.
And you bring a woman around, and guess what? All of a sudden, those same bros, guess what's going to start to happen? They're automatically going to start edging each other out and competing against one another, because our biological drive is going to say, hey, get those eggs. Go have sex with her, right? So it's like, you can't bring women into like those sacred environments of men, because automatically it's going to take away from the purpose. What's the mission of the military? What's to go and fight wars and to protect your communities, right? And it's like, but then you put women in it, and then what happens? Well, I saw it happen over and over. These girls, oh man, I can't even get into the just nastiness of what I've seen. But it just, let's just go and say it from a easy perspective, is that it changes the focus. Instead, that guy ends up staying in the military and doing all sorts of other stuff in order to like give her a happy life, a comfortable life. And it's like, the military is not supposed to be comfortable, my man. You know what I mean? It's not supposed to be comfortable. And that's essentially what it's turned into, is it's turned into a bureaucratic corporate system instead of it being a military. So it's very, very sad to see. Very sad to see. And that's why, I mean, you can start to see it too. If you look at most of the average military members, they're overweight. People aren't passing their fucking PFTs. They're not their physical fitness tests. People aren't combat ready. I started to see that too in 2013. We had one unit that came in and relieved us, 3-5. They were overweight and they were unprepared, and they suffered mass casualties because of it. And it's like, fuck. Like especially Marines, they should be sharp. Like we are the fucking pit bulls of war. Like we have a reputation, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you can't be coming in like a fucking fat bulldog, dude. You know what I mean? So
you're saying that they lowered standards, or adjusted what was going on over, and even in boot camp.
Well, that too. I mean, anytime you start to allow women into a space, especially around men that were kind of raised in a blue pill idea, right? An ideal, they white knight. Oh, watch your language. Don't talk about this type of stuff. So now you start to allow a PC culture into it. And then the next thing, so like now men have to monitor themselves because women are around. So if you're all supposed to be equal and of the same cut and of the same class within the military, but you have someone who's treated already as higher level than you because they're a woman, what does that do? What does that do to the actual, we call this esprit de corps, right? It's like the spirit of the corps. It's a brotherhood, right? It ruins the spirit of the corps just by having a woman in that environment, because no matter what, there's somebody that's going to be a simp or a white knight in the group.
Right.
And they're going to fucking sell out their brothers in order to get that. And then you're going to have other people. It does not work. It doesn't work. And that's why, actually, believe it or not, there used to be tribes that used to separate. Women used to have their own camp, especially when they're on their period, right? And then men were in their own camp because men did guy things together and women did girl things together, and they came together at night when it was time to go to bed, and they'd have sex and procreate. And then that's kind of that. You know what I mean? So
Corey wants separate beds, is what he wants.
Fuck that. I don't even want a girl living with me.
Oh, I was gonna ask. My next question was, are you married again?
I want to be loaded, and she can have her own little like villa by the pool. I got my
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? And then I have a bunch of girls that rotate through there. I mean, that's essentially how I'm living right now, to be honest with you, minus the mansion.
Oh, well done. And one of the guys at work was, you were talking about school and doing things like that. Well, he was telling me the other day that his kid wants to go to college and receive a degree in gender neutral studies.
Yeah.
And it was 5 of us all sitting around. None of us, some of us are smarter than others. Some of us aren't. Nobody could figure out what that meant.
Sure.
Type of a thing. And this is going back to what you were saying before.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
That's your teaching class.
Oh my God, that's so good. I go bold enough to tell people, especially in this book, that we need to boycott universities, period. Stop sending your kids there. Stop giving them money any way, shape, or form. And we need to push our representatives to stop giving any type of subsidies or earmarks to these colleges. These colleges are the epicenters for SJW, communism, and this fucking complete overhaul of gender. It is the factory by which feminism is promulgating and destroying our country, destroying our culture. And I would love to see, for at least the next decade, no one fucking sending their kids to a university. Plain and simple. Send your boys to trade school, make your women or make your girls get married to a high value man from between 18 and 22, maintain their virginity. Like, bring that stuff back. Like, that's the only way to fucking tip the scales back, honestly.
60s.
Yeah. I mean,
they had it done. It was,
that's the way to do it. But the problem is, most males today, most fathers are shamed and guilted into believing that's like the patriarchy and that's a bad thing to do. And it's like, well, wouldn't you rather set your kids up for success? If you know now, like everything that I bring up in this book, especially when it comes to women, if you know that if you send your girl to school, well, first and foremost, if you let her lose her virginity and have numerous boyfriends and all this other stuff, then you let her go to school from 18 to 22. And believe it or not, she's probably going to push it more to 24 to 26 years old in order to get her get her PhD or her master's. And during that time frame, she's having drunken orgies. She's leaning on alcohol. She's doing all sorts of different types of drugs. She's sleeping with numerous men. Then after that, she's not paying for her degree. Somebody else is that you're paying your hard-earned dollars for, and she's just wasting it. Then she comes home and she's like, you're part of the patriarchy. Fuck you, and doesn't appreciate any of the stuff that you've done. Goes and gets a job in corporate America, rides more of the CC. And then at 33 years old, now that she can't pair bond or any of this other stuff, and her eggs are all used up, she tries to bait down an alpha, but can't have that happen. And this is years and years after returning home every Christmas and Thanksgiving and being asked, where's your boyfriend at? Why aren't you having kids? What's going on? Right. She's tattooed herself. She's covered herself in piercing. She's cut her bangs and made herself look like a dude more, put the bull ring in as well. Become so jaded towards men because of all the things that she's gone through. And then she tries to find an alpha, but can't find an alpha, and then ends up marrying a beta, has his babies, and then just pretty much puts him through the fucking divorce machine.
Yep.
So it's like, what would be a better option? You choosing and being a father and being like, hey, I know what's best for you. I understand the sexual marketplace. I understand. Oh, the other thing that I forgot is this, the fucking SSRIs, man. Everything that I just talked about, understanding the devil by which those things are. 41% of people on what's it called? Actually, sorry, what is it? Women 45 ages and up are 41% of the people that make up people taking SSRIs. 41% of the people taking it are women 45 years and older. So this is the show. This goes to show 100% that teaching women to adopt a male sexual strategy, teaching women to go into the workforce, go into debt, and have fun in their fucking early ages and all this other stuff, it doesn't pay off in the long run. So what would be better for you as a father, as a mentor to your children, for your genetics, for your legacy, for your family legacy and all this other stuff? What would be better? Would it be to have that hard conversation and to be a dickhead for a couple years of her life? And for me personally, what I would do is I would have an arranged marriage. I hate to say it like that, but I would go and I would find the right suitors for her. And I'd be like, you know what? Because I can be real about this stuff. I'm a pig in the eyes of people. But I would go and I'd look for a guy that understands game, that understands how to keep women on lock, all this other stuff, that has the high value and all this other shit. And I would say, here you go. Here's a beautiful 18-year-old virgin, right? And hopefully it's associated with my name as well, kind of like what they used to do back in the day with names. Like names actually would mean something, and family legacy would actually mean something. And be like, here you go. She's yours now. You know, pay me your fucking dowry.
Dowry.
You know what I'm saying? But no, but honestly, like that's better off for women. I think fathers should be the ones choosing the mates for their daughters, because at 18 years old, they're not going to know what to do. They're going to choose another 18-year-old boy. They're going to sleep with him. They're going to realize he's a boy. This guy's going to fucking worship the ground I walk on. Or a 21-year-old kid who doesn't have the resources, who's going to do all this other stuff. She's not going to be happy with him. She's going to end up leaving him. She's going to go sleep with other guys and do all this other stuff. It's like, I would much rather set my daughter up with a guy 30 years old to 35 years old who has his shit together, maybe an illustrious military career prior to as well, who's an entrepreneur and all this other stuff, and who was interested right then and there in actually settling at that moment and having some level of a marriage with her, right? And I talk about my ideas and concepts of what marriage should be in the future in this book as well. And I'll just give you guys a little tip as to what it sounds like and looks like. It's all going to be contractual. There's going to be a limit on the contract. Like, for instance, what my contract would consist of, because I do want to have children myself. And I understand in order to have and raise the best level of children, they have to have a mother and a father there. That's the best for a child's psyche. Otherwise, there's levels of abandonment and all this other stuff that occurs, right? And that leads to lower IQs, that leads to mass shootings, that leads to all sorts of things. ADHD is very well lumped in with abandonment and all this other stuff. So if you want to be a father, you need to get married. But the thing is, getting away from the old school traditional concepts of things, like why do people need to be married for the rest of their lives? And why are people guilted and shamed into believing that that needs to be that way? Why not have a contract? So my contract would be something along the lines of like, we will renegotiate the terms of the contract 2 weeks after our youngest child turns 13 years old. Because I think I think, you know, a 13-year-old child would be able to understand these kinds of things, especially if you raise them in that way. If you raise your child and if you start to raise your boys and even some girls in the understanding of what the red pill lens, you understand she's not mine. It's just your turn, right? It's like, instead of trying to buy the whole cow always, like we have, like, why not rent it for 13 years as it goes through all this other stuff? And we have an amicable separation, because from the get-go, the contract was already put into place. Like, all right, we got this. We signed this. We both understand what we're doing here. We're coming together. I, as the man that gains all the resources and has all the resources, I'm here to take care of you and our children. Once our children reach adulthood and they're going to go through their rites of passage, all this other stuff, which I cover in the book as well, we can separate. If we want to stay together, we can renegotiate. And that's the beauty of it, is if she wants to stay with me and the contract is approaching, or she knows that she has a contract and that contract date is going to be up in 10 to 5 to 1 year, how do you think she's going to act if she wants to stay with me? She wants to keep that lifestyle.
She's going to be damn nice to you.
You better bet she's going to be giving up some sex. She's going to be initiating sex. She's going to be in shape. She's going to stay fun, fit, and flirtatious, right? Exactly. And that's the thing, is that, and that's what's wrong with our society today, especially in the sexual marketplace, is all the models that we have right now incentivize women to give up.
Oh yeah.
Because the power is all in their hands. And then the other thing too is we also teach men the same thing. We don't teach men how to game their wives. And this is another level of being able to game their wives, because game is continuous, no matter what type of relationship you want to have, whether it's one-nighters, 2 week, 3 weeks, flings or whatever, or you want to run harem game. Like, you got to run game on all women. So that'll also be something that I talk about, where that'll actually be taught to boys. That'll be taught to boys from 13 to 18, and then reiterated through life, is like understanding game. Because I think that's something that's huge and missing, right?
Yeah, and you actually brought up a tremendous point, because I run into it all the time with guys that have bought into that old social construct, and they're married, or they've been married for 15, 20 years, and they walk around with these stories that they're just lost. They have no way or idea of how to get it back.
Yeah. The old social construct is this. I don't know if you guys have read this book yet. It's called The Unchained Man by Caleb Jones.
No.
It's a good book. He talks about, and the old social construct was great at creating alpha 1.0 men. It was this belief system that I turned 18, I put in some hard work or whatever. I build up some resources and some security. I go and I find myself a woman. I propose to her. We get married. I go and I buy a house. I put some kids in her. And then from there, she's mine, because the church says that she's mine, right? The church and the Bible also says, because you're married to me, you must give me sex, right? You have to give me sex, kind of deal, right? You're essentially my property. And to just be happy and, live your life happy with me for the rest of your life. And it's like, yeah, you can't just tell someone to be happy, And the next thing is this, like, men get lazy. Men forget how to game. The biggest thing, and the thing that I love the most about the game is this, like, I seduce women, right? I seduce women in order for her to give me sex. And I know this sounds like treacherous, but the reality is that's not true. It's actually like, it's a dance. I turn on my level of energy, and I start kind of like pushing her button, so to speak. And as good as I become with it, she starts getting warmed up to the idea, and she actually starts getting involved in it. And it's this beautiful dance between the masculine and the feminine. I think that's what it's created. It's not transactional any longer. It's by choice. And that's the beauty of seduction, is it's both each other choosing, saying, I choose to have sex with you. I am, oh yeah, like I'm in. It's not just like I choose to, it's like I'm in. And she's like, yeah, I'm in too. And it's like, then you have impeccable sex. But when you have transactional sex, it's like, I married you, I put a roof over your head, and I give you these resources. And the Bible says you need to have sex with me. So now let's have sex. And then it's like this mediocre fucking milquetoast sex. And you wonder why, 5-10 years later, you guys are in a sexless marriage. It's because, like, you never learned how to fucking seduce her, because you relied and rested on these fucking old social contracts that made it easy for you to get sex by just trading resources, right? Transactional.
Yeah, that's it.
With that. And it's like, you wonder now why the divorce rate is greater than 50% or around 50%. It's like, well, men weren't trained on how to seduce women in order to have sex with them. Men instead started expecting women just because I had the resources to have sex with them. It's like, first off, that's shit sex. That's shit sex. Like, it's awful. And second of all, like, it's bad for women, right? And then 2 or 3, right? Like, men need to understand that they're responsible for this stuff. Like, it adds a whole new spark to your life. Like, for me personally, I absolutely love it. I love the fact that I have game, and I see all this other stuff. I need to read this comment now too. Post Doomsday Corey, please come inside, have a look at my daughter farm. Yes. See anything you like, buy 2 and get 1 half price. Absolutely. Hey, listen, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think.
Yeah. Hey,
I don't think.
And it's funny. I've never heard anybody kind of illustrate it just like that with the contract. That's actually great.
Fuck it. We're all businesses. So if we all operate on the sexual marketplace, which is the oldest marketplace known to man, you're a business. I'm a business. Franklin, right? Franklin,
yep.
You're a business. She's a business. We're all our own fucking self-proprietorship or LLC or whatever. We're all our own distinct brand with our own market and our own fucking thing to provide to the marketplace. And we let the marketplace choose, right? But that's the thing that people don't realize, is that you're a fucking business. And now we see in this world, this global economy, especially now that we have a global sexual marketplace, holy fuck, I got to put in work. That's why like what's coming up now, what's coming up in the future is this renaissance, this masculine renaissance where you need to be a renaissance man. You can no longer get away with just being an Elon Musk or a Steve Jobs or a Bill Gates or a fucking Trump, right? Real estate mogul, tech mogul, all this other stuff. Like, no, you have to have the body. You have to have the finances. You have to have the seduction. You have to have the social credibility, right? Like that's the ultimate fucking renaissance man today, where it's like, if you're good in all those departments, that's where a girl is going to be like throwing herself at you, chasing you in your DMs and all this other stuff, right? But there's too many people again today. Most men, they want to just go to the gym and work out and be good looking, but then they don't know how to game women. Or you have the guy that sits there and he works 60, 70, 80 hours a week and he has the Ferrari and all this other stuff, but he doesn't have time or energy to game women. So instead, what's he doing? He's leading with his wallet. So he's doing transactional stuff. Then you have the guys out there that understand and know game, let's say just pickup artists, but they don't have the money or the muscles.
Right.
And it's like, that guy's fucked too, right? He's going to be stuck at a lower level sexual marketplace. Sure, he might be able to pull tens every once in a while, but the goal of this whole thing is to get women to chase you. That's the ultimate red pill. That's where you're like, I've achieved some level where women are coming to me and saying, hey, please do whatever you want with me. Please bring me into your inner circles. Please bring me into your layer, master. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and who
that's ultimately where.
Who wouldn't want to bring this guy right here into your inner circle? Look at that.
That's what I'm talking about, dude.
There you go.
Yeah,
that is a warrior right there.
Hell yeah, look at that. That fucking dragon skin is fucking so cool.
Where were you here?
That was in Vista, California. They have a Viking Fest every single year. I got to I competed in it too. You do a fucking spear toss. Yeah, they have an archery, like a longbow, not compound bow.
Oh wow.
Log throw. I think I came in like third log throw. And then there's one, hatchet throwing as well. And then you could fucking obviously go and eat turkey legs and all sorts of other shit too. It's fucking cool. Viking music playing the whole time and all this other stuff. Like total LARPing stuff, but fucking pretty epic.
That's
They
cool.
actually just started that out here. We're in New York. Okay, they just started that out here. Hatchet throwing.
Dude, it's fun, man. Like, I'm telling you, check that stuff out. Like, men are naturally drawn to this type of shit, dude.
Yeah.
We're naturally drawn to it. We love that kind of stuff. Like, I even, for my 33rd birthday, I went to, for the second time in my life, I went to, what the hell is that damn restaurant? But it's like medieval shit that goes
Medieval
times. Fuck. Dude, one of the greatest times of my life. I just love that shit. Like, I'm a total fucking Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings nerd, dude. I love all that stuff.
Nice.
Like, I get off on that shit, for sure. So it's like, because it's archetypal, man. It's mythological. We as a man are always constantly, and this is why I wear the king's crown right now, and I have that kind of set up in my book, the purging feminism. Is it's like, ideally, each man has the archetype of a king in his mind, and he's always trying to become the king of his domain. It's like, that's essentially where we're going. But how many people have been given the opportunity to dream that big and try to be that guy?
Well, I'll say this too. You're working against the grain, because right now they're giving kids all sorts of hormones, and they're trying to make them go the opposite way.
Right.
Of being men. I mean,
agreed. Yeah. Well, because
crazy.
Women, it's so funny, man. Women are so fucking messed up. They, especially in today's world, they honestly think, and they've been kind of taught to believe that they don't like masculine men. So when they have these boys, because of feminism, they almost feel like they've sold out, or they've gone against the grain of the sisterhood, right? When it comes to feminism. So then what they do is they try to keep their boy the beta forever. And the other reason behind it too is because if they keep their boy the beta, especially like completely cucking them by changing them over to a girl, that mother is also able to have someone who's going to be emotionally reliant on them for the rest of their lives. So it's super, super narcissistic, like terribly so. But then they also feel like they're accomplishing a goal as far as feminism is concerned. They're taking a man off the map.
Yeah.
But the funny thing is, deep down inside, they're actually truly attracted to men that are super masculine. So it's like, what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that their boy never becomes that man. It's fucking
yeah, and it's weird because
They're on their
it's
way.
almost like a finite time. They want that masculine guy for when they're hot, and then once they're done with them, okay, well, we don't want everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they don't want to. The biggest thing is, well, and I'll tell you this, and I've written about this in some level too. The key goal of women in today's society is to be as comfortable as possible, to maximize their comfort. I don't know if you saw the tweet that I sent out before, but it's actually essentially what resulted. It went pretty viral, and it resulted in me getting kicked off of Tinder as hate speech, or sorry, Twitter as hate speech. But essentially what it came down to was I just said, women, we don't care about you being CEOs. We don't care about you being boss babes. We don't care about you getting your PhD or anything like that. What we do care about instead is you being fit, fun, flirtatious, chaste, and a few other keys, right? And then I just said signed real men. And it's funny because I was just writing that as a joke because women are always saying, where are all the real men at? But they think that they can just continue to be fat, lazy, purple-haired, bitter, cruel, judgmental, bossy, and they can still feel as though they're entitled to having a real man or a man of value come into their life. And it's like, well, the funny thing is, like, a man of value also has standards and he has boundaries. And here's what they are, right? But the thing is, and this is the reason why women are really pushing back against masculinity right now, is because they think that they should just be free to be whoever and whatever they want to be with no standards held to them. And a truly masculine man holds a woman to standards. A truly masculine man holds his boundaries within his relationships and holds the in the relationship. And what that means is, because women are so used to being able to get away with everything, that's their ultimate shit test. That's how they test a man. Does he let me get away with stuff? And the more you let her get away, the more she starts to slide away. That's the more her hypergamy is going to start to be opened up as well. And really what it comes down to is, in order to ensure hypergamy doesn't happen in your relationship and she sticks around, is you are a fucking Spartan on those on those boundaries. The second she even starts to come close, you're fucking already stabbing it, right? You're already like, fuck that shit. Like, not in my house. You know what I'm saying? Like, women get so aroused by that. Like, when here she is, she's fucking, you're having a conversation with her and she gets a text and she just puts her head down and starts texting. And you're like, hey, put that down. I'm talking to you.
Right. Yeah.
She'll see her fucking snap too. Put that phone down and be like, guess what you're saying, right? And and what happens automatically is that sends little tingles down to that fucking little organ down she's got there that's just for fucking orgasms, right? And then all of a sudden things start to get wet and she's like, man, that's exactly the man I want to be with, right? Nothing else fucking matters. But you have to be that guy. You got to be that guy that holds her to boundaries. Now, I'm not sitting here saying you got to watch every step she does and babysit all this other stuff, but the second she comes across a boundary, you got to be that guy that's willing to, right in that moment when it happens, be like, cut that shit out. Change your shit. Stop being this way. I have a feeling that this book is going to obviously create some waves. I don't care. I don't care how I'm labeled. I don't care what people label me with, because the thing is, we all know what I'm saying is true. The truth is always going to fucking win, man. I don't care what type of fucking crazy society you want to live in and all this other stuff. The truth, like, we've evolved to this level where we're at today based off of these truths. We can't get rid of them. We're not going to get rid of them. Like, these truths are here to make sure that we continue to propagate as a species, that we continue life. You know what I'm saying? So no matter how much you want to say things are a social construct, what they're doing is creating a social construct. They're trying to fight truth with this fucking make-believe. It's like, you can't make believe, man. Like, I've fought wars, right? Like, I know the difference between life and death. Like, I know reality, and reality is always going to beat you. I mean, thank God for coronavirus.
Yeah, it's all over the place, as a matter of fact. I think there was even a case in this country someplace. I'm not 100% sure of that, though.
Yeah, we got 33 confirmed here in California.
33?
33.
I didn't know that. I thought it was just a couple.
My God.
I didn't know that.
Nope, it's gonna happen, man.
Yeah.
Allowed too many people in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Corey, again, I want to, I mean, you're clearly one of the most interesting and best guests we've had so far. I mean, just like you said, your life story, where you've come from, the whole transition. I've known you from the other broadcasts and things like that, but I didn't know your story.
Yeah.
And this was great.
Thank you.
really was.
I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Seriously.
Yeah, and definitely down the line, maybe when your book finally gets out there fully, we'll have you back on and you can discuss it a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, you bet, man. Absolutely.
Yeah, all right.
You know how to contact me. Feel free to shoot the invite.
Absolutely. Again, Corey, thank you so much.
You bet. Absolutely. This is fun.